Now let's take a look at configuring init and the run levels in BSD Unix. Now the init process basically starts initialization processes and scripts when the computer boots up. It decides what device drivers come up, it decides what run level the computer needs to assume, and it can run scripts that will cause daemons to run and start up as well. Now you can use the init command by itself to change run levels, such as to 0 and 6, but you need to understand that BSD doesn't use run levels the same way as Linux and other NIX platforms do. Other Unix platforms, other Linux platforms can use other different run levels, such as 5 and 1 and so forth, but BSD doesn't support all of those, so that's something you need to know up front. So I would recommend that for your particular Unix flavor or Linux flavor, you do a little research and figure out exactly how that particular brand of Unix supports run levels. Let's go ahead and take a look at a few things at the terminal window and we can see how init is used. The next thing we'll look at is init. The first thing I want to do is show you a little bit about init itself and explain a little bit how the init run levels work. First, let's type in where is init, because we want to know where that's at. And we'll find that in /sbin/init. That's where that process and its executables and files are held. If you want to, we can also do an info init. And this is a little bit of an extended file. It tells you basically what you can do in FreeBSD. Understand the man page for FreeBSD's init may be a little bit different than another brand of Unix or another Linux init because it's supported a little bit differently in FreeBSD. We only have a few different run levels that we can use in init: 0, 1, 6, and Q. Without going to a lot of depth, init 0 halts the computer and does a complete power off. Init 1 basically is used for single user mode. In other words, you put the entire system into single user mode. Now init 6 can also do a reboot of the system. That's like doing a shutdown -R. If you look at these different run levels as they're listed here and the signals they send, basically you see init 0, init 1, 6. Now an init C blocks further logins on the system, and init Q basically sends a SIGHUP signal and rescans the TTYS file to make sure that there's no additional secure or insecure login consoles. Init is a very good process to use in that you can suddenly change run levels and get immediate action on the computer. You can absolutely halt and turn the computer off. You can reboot the machine. But that's not really what it's used for. Init is basically used to look at different scripts and run daemons and start daemons and so forth that are in these scripts and get these processes going when the computer starts up. Init basically, again, is the initialization process for the computer. If we look in /etc, we're going to see different RC files. Let's take a look at this. Let's do a directory on this, and if we get down a little bit, we're going to see that we've got an rc.d directory, and that's where a lot of these scripts are held. We've also got an rc.conf, rc.firewalls, rc.shutdown, and these are different scripts that actually load different daemons up and cause them to start up when the computer starts up. There's also a daemon and processes to shut down the computer that RC scripts control. And basically, if we want to, we can look at the rc.conf file, and we can see that these are the basic daemons that are started up when the computer starts up. We have very few, as a matter of fact, and BSD starts up very few services to begin with. If the INIT process was enabled, we would have a few more, but rc.conf only allows a few to start up. First, as we can see, it sets the host name to local domain, it starts up the ifconfig command and goes with DHCP so we can get an IP address and connect to the network. It does not enable INIT, and we'll talk about INIT a little bit more, but basically this is a wrapper service for most of the other network-enabled daemons and services that are on the system. We did, however, enable SSHD, so we have a secure shell up and running. And these are just a few of the daemons that rc.conf takes a look at. Let's look at another one. Let's look at rc.shutdown. It actually gives us the ability to shut down the system and send different commands to the system to do an orderly shutdown. And we have different shutdown commands we can issue. Shutdown-H halts the system, -R reboots the system, and so forth. So we've looked at a couple of different things that init can do. Basically, init, again, runs initialization scripts, and these initialization scripts primarily start up processes on the computer and daemons when the computer started, but can also aid in shutting down the computer. So if we wanted to, we could use init to run these scripts by changing the rc.conf file, and it would cause those daemons to be read out of that file and start up, or we could use init to basically turn the computer off itself, halt it, or reboot it, because we might go init 6, and as we know, that reboots the computer. So as you can see, init is a very useful and very critical process to the system, and understanding it and how it works is probably very helpful to you as a system administrator. And we haven't scratched the surface of init very well, but we've given you an idea of what it does and how it works.